Welcome to Krishna Culture Storytime. I'm Sachirani and today we'll be reading a story from The Blue Prince, Volume 4. This is a book written by Isvara and illustrated by Varshana Devi Dasi. And today's story will be The King and the Poor Brahmana. In the city of Mithila lived a pious Brahmana by the name of Shrutadev. Shrutadev was a pure devotee of Krishna. He was always engaged in the service of the Lord. However, he was very poor. He lived with his wife in very humble circumstances, but he always was in deep thoughts of Lord Krishna and always relishing the wonderful pastimes and glories of the Lord. The king of Mithila was also a pure devotee of Lord Krishna. Although he was very wealthy, he only used his wealth in Lord Krishna's service. He was also very devoted to the Brahmanas. Krishna was very attracted to these two devotees, so one day he decided to tour all the surrounding cities of Dwarka. With his chariot driver, the Lord departed for Mithila. The Lord's real purpose in coming to Mithila was to see his two pure devotees, the king and the Brahmana Shrutadev. When the inhabitants of Mithila heard that Krishna had arrived in the city in the company of saintly Brahmanas, they all hurried to offer valuable presents to the Lord. Upon seeing the Lord, they felt the fullness of heart, in the same way the lotus flower blooms at the rising of the sun. The king of Mithila and Shrutadev bowed down at the feet of the Lord and requested that he visit their respective houses. By his limitless kindness, Lord Krishna expended himself into two Krishnas, not only expending himself, but also the powerful sages accompanying him were expended to be able to visit the king's palace and Shrutadev's hut. So Krishna and all his entourage were going to visit both the king and the Brahmana at the same time. The king made elaborate arrangements for the reception of Lord Krishna and the sages. He offered the Lord a valuable throne to sit on. He offered comfortable pillows for the sages. He washed Lord Krishna's and the sages' feet, then sprinkled that water on his head and all his family. He offered fresh flower garlands to the Lord and the sages. He smeared sandalwood pulp on their foreheads. He presented them with cloth, jewels, cows, and bulls. Then he worshipped the Lord with incense and ghee lamps. He fed the Lord and the sages the most excellent food preparations. Then he bathed the Lord's feet with tears streaming from his eyes, all the while speaking very sweetly about Lord Krishna's wonderful glories. While this was taking place, the second expansion of Lord Krishna and the sages entered Brahmana Shrutadev's humble house. Shrutadev could only offer the Lord and his companions simple straw sitting mats. But due to immense happiness on seeing the Lord, Shrutadev began to dance in ecstasy. He and his wife washed the Lord's feet, then the sages' feet, and sprinkled the water on their heads. Being poor, Shrutadev could only offer simple fruits, incense, perfumed water, tulsi leaves, kusha grass, and lotus flowers. Because he offered them with love, Krishna lovingly accepted them. Shrutadev's wife made a simple dish of rice and dal and fed the Lord and the sages. The whole time Shrutadev, filled with joy, continued to sing of the Lord's wonderful glories. Greatly satisfied, the sages left the city of Mithila. The king and the Brahmana Shrutadev, who were equally full of love for the Lord, received the Lord's blessings. The gorgeous offerings of the king and the simple offerings of the Brahmana were accepted equally by the Lord. Lord Krishna yearns only for the love of his devotees. He does not care for any material wealth offered to him. After all, he is the possessor of all wealth. The end. This was a wonderful story, showing how Krishna reciprocates with his devotees, whether we offer him a mountain of gold or a simple lotus flower. He will bless us as long as we offer it with love. I hope you enjoyed this story as much as I did. This is one of many in The Blue Prince, Volume 4. If you're interested in this book or any other, please visit krishnaculture.com, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe.